As long as they don't fall too far behind early on, obviously. They need to figure out ways to maybe control the pacing of the game. Like I mentioned before, invades are an opportunity. I know how much Andinster loves getting invaded on, and that's something that Luminosity should try to exploit.
So they're going to look to maybe attempt their strategies going from an earlier side focus to get themselves going, because the laning phase, that's where it's hurt them. They've had some great moments. We're talking defensively, they've been okay. They've shown in the team fights they can actually stick with SoaR. It was very hard for SoaR to burst the Luminosity bubble at the end, even though they had all the chips falling for them. Well, it seems like that maybe is the direction.
The defense was definitely there for Luminosity because they had the Sobek to be able to punish the overextension out of SoaR. They also had the Erlang Shen being able to taunt and root you in place. So I like the fact that Luminosity was able to hold out in the long run, but unfortunately during that 31-minute counterplay, whenever we saw Mass go in with that Hunbat's ulti when there were no more relics on the table for SoaR, it was just unfortunate that they couldn't get that mid Phoenix because of two factors. Number one was that there was 2 fire waves in middle that ScaryD had to go back and defend the Titan. And on top of this, the combination of the Mantle of Discord onto Andinster paired up with the Through Space and Time from Snoopy just thwarted Luminosity's comeback potential to get that mid Phoenix.
Well, Luminosity have definitely learned from these past 2 sets. If there's anything they do not want to happen is they do not want Andy on a 3rd game with that Nemesis, which I think is a really important change for them to have made, because he's just had way too much control with this Nemesis, way too much kill potential, and I think if anything, it's probably one of the steps in the right direction for them. And I feel like SoaR, at the same time, they're most likely going to be looking for similar bans that they have been with the past 2 games. Yeah, they're just going to go ahead and take away the Rat Task for a 3rd game in a row from Mass. They want to ensure that he's not on a comfort pick because he is excellent at controlling the map when he gets that Rat.
But now, because Luminosity is first pick, they have all these options available between Janus, between Jing and SoaR. Now, they offer the Janus here, which is good because it takes it away from Snoopy, who's been prioritizing that the last 2 games. But they could have opted for SoaR as well, and that could be something that SoaR should be looking at here.
Yeah, I think they would just rather have the Janus in general because, like we've seen with Snoopy, I think that they just don't want to give SoaR that potential to keep invading their buffs as easily as they have been, because the disengage and engage at the Janus, it's just all too strong, and I don't think that it's something that BaRRa and Jeff, if anything, want Xeno, Mass, and ScaryD to keep trying to resolve.
Well, one of the interesting aspects, taking that away from Snoopy, not only the fact that it's a great god to have on your team, the mobility getting out of these tight scenarios. We saw Snoopy escape death, which when he seemed very close to dying. It's also that maybe they're feeling they want to test Snoopy's god pool. He's been said, obviously switching a lot of roles in mid. How deep is his god pool? He's been on Janus for 2 games, very comfortable. He's going to have to show up on a different god this game.
Depending on what kind of setup he has, he's very comfortable on a lot of these mechanical gods as well. Now, Ra is available, Vulcan is available, and being paired up with Thor, those are 2 good options, but it's going to be the Raijin instead. Still has a lot of long-range artillery damage.
Yeah, Raijin's definitely also not something... It's also something that Snoopy's definitely not unfamiliar with. He feels pretty comfortable on that Raijin. And like you said, it gives him the spacing that he would want for the control and the damage that he would want combining with the Thor ultimate. Because we all know Andy, and we know Andy's going to land his Thor ults and abilities. And so I think it can be pretty devastating, especially to a Janus. They might have the chance to burst him, before he tries to escape with Through Space and Time.
And now it's going to be focused on banning out Mass here with that Fenrir ban right off the bat. Going to take away some of these early game aggressive options. I would expect him to also be banned away from the Naja, another one of these good early game junglers.
Yeah, I think a Naja would be a smart decision, but at the same time, Naja-Janus combination isn't exactly something that I feel SoaR would be concerned about because of the fact that it's just not enough setup, in my opinion, due to the fact that it is a Janus middle. That it's not going to really pack a punch that you would want from the Naja ultimate, but he might have to end up defaulting to it, considering the fact that a lot of the optimal junglers for Mass have indeed been taken away from him.
Across the board, Hunt Bots, Fenrir taken away by SoaR, Vamana, and Amaterasu taken away by Luminosity in response. Janus, Erlang, Shen, Jing, potentially Susano here for Luminosity. A little bit of a flavor pick, but do you like it?
Not as strong as it used to be in the previous patches after the nerf to his first ability, the Stormkata, now applying damage reduced from the first and second strike, but now being applied on that 3rd strike, but still has really great setup between the Siphon Pull and his Typhoon. So I really like the idea here, especially if this is is going to be paired up with a Bacchus, which it is.
Yeah, I think that it's going to give them great space control, and it's going to help out their setup a little bit more because you do have the damage coming out from the Bacchus and Susano that Janus could be lacking in the early game stages for those buff cycle rotations. So I think that that'll be really important for Luminosity to help themselves maintain control over the game and to not just go ahead and find themselves trying to fight back from an early loss or goal deficit.
See Ravana and Rama selected as well. Rounding things out for SoaR here on the map. We've got only a few seconds before the game gets underway. Totally Taco, what are you thinking about this one? It's all on the line for Luminosity.
I'm actually liking Luminosity's composition a little bit better here just because it seems like they have a way better control, but SoaR are riding off of momentum.
Yeah.
They have
Yes.
a 2-0 lead right now in this best-of-5 set. They're just one game away from making Worlds, and Andinster is playing his staple Thor. I gotta give it to SoaR.
I think that if Luminosity are going to have any kind of potential whatsoever out of these games so far, this is definitely going to be the one. I think their draft for this game is by far their best one so far today out of this set. But at the same time, I agree with Tolly. It's going to be really hard to overcome the momentum coming out of SoaR, and especially when you consider the fact that Baskin and Andy are 100%, they want Worlds.
So we'll find out in just a moment. Is SoaR going to Worlds after this next victory, or will Luminosity extend the set? Casters, take it away. Game 3.
Thanks so much, Rain Day, and the analysts as well. Obviously, SoaR have 3 chances to go to Worlds now. They only need 1 win out of 3. However, this draft for me, Luminosity are favourites for me, just in terms of picks and bans, if they can get through the early game.
I agree. I really love the adjustments they made as well. They took away the 2 key picks that we saw SoaR really control the game with. First, banning away the Nemesis that Andinster has shown he can play at a very high level, but to be fair, what can't Andinster play at that level? And then first picking the Janus, and that's what I actually expected the most, was what they were either going to ban or pick that away from Snoopy, and now Raijin is still considered a very safe mid laner simply because Thunder Crash has immunity frames, very quick, good amount of distance, but it's also a double-edged sword where you are encouraged to Thunder Crash aggressively to proc the Raiju, to get a ton of burst damage, and sometimes we see mid laners get into trouble trying to play it that way.
Now, we do see as well that in the jungle for Luminosity this game, Masked has had to go to Susano. The picks were limited in the jungle this game with all the bans that came through, however, and with Thor also taken away from him. He had Susano, a Wheelix, and Arachne, I guess, with the 3 that you could have looked at.
6 gods locked away from him. I think a Wheelix could have worked here, especially because of the knockups that Luminosity has drafted. ScaryD, JeffHindla, and BaRRaCCuDDa all have knockups, but Wheelix is also one of those gods where it's very risky. If you get behind in the early game, it could just crush everything moving forward, and based on how the first 2 games went, you really don't want a god that if they get behind, they have trouble recovering.
And that's the big key for Luminosity. Get out of the laning phase here, hit the mid game as a composition, and you could work wonders. It's clear to me as well that in the solo lane, they are happy to see that Baskin is getting... Oh, wow, he took so much more poke than expected. But Baskin, they're happy to give him Ravana here. They let him have the lane dominant god because he knows as the game goes on, Ravana is just going to be a CC bot.
He's had the advantage in every single one of these games. The past 3 always has that lane advantage where he's going to win, and BaRRaCCuDDa back on the Jing way, but BaRRaCCuDDa hasn't been a factor yet. I mean, we saw him do work in the team fights late game in game 2, but it wasn't even like BaRRaCCuDDa was going crazy, like he was making all these plays. Most of it was really on Mask.
We talk about lane dominance here for Baskin in both the games so far. This 3rd game, however, you do see ScaryD get support from Mask in the early stages to get those fire elementals, which gives him a bit of a lead in this lane, but he is against one of the best solo laners in the world here, ScaryD, and Baskin will give as good as he gets.
And this time, ScaryD not going for that Wrath, instead sticking to the teleport. The Wrath was useless last game outside of the first round of buffs where they were just fast to lane because they had a Sobek. This time, though, nothing for that. It's going to be the TP, and so ScaryD going to have a better matchup here. Also, a much better job farming. I mean, that's one of the main issues with Wrath is if you get pressured out as much as ScaryD did, you struggle to recover.
And this is over here looking for a bit of pressure again. If you can find a wall hammer, it could influence the lane a little bit, especially because you can see the potions in the bottom. They are even in terms of multi and health potions right now. If Baskin does get a slight lead on that, or at least lose him some farm, it could allow Baskin to continue to control the lane.
And I love how Andinster plays his ganks. A lot of times you'll see people come over and look for a gank on the first wave. If it's not there, they just wait for another wave, and they cripple their farm and also
level
their
5
solo
going
laners.
straight in. Pressure onto Andinster already, forcing purification, switching his attention towards Snoopy. He got a purification for that though. The gank was very, very early on, but it did create a little bit of pressure for now to allow him to rotate to the right-hand side.
Was Xeno 5 at the start of that? I mean, he has ult now, obviously. I'm assuming he was just 4, but that's one of the weaknesses of the Susano changes is that he has a much harder time now getting his burst damage off. He has to charge that ultimate before it can knock players up.
But this is good for Mass trying to dictate the pace for Luminosity early on. Try and make sure that Andinster is not the one dictating the pace from SoaR Gaming instead.
I think the only time we saw him go aggressive was those Game 1 back harpies, and that was it. Everything else was just kind of in response to SoaR. We saw a couple red buff invades, but that wasn't facing off of players. That was just calculated farming when SoaR were putting pressure elsewhere. This is actually the first time we've seen Mass try and go for something in all 3 games.
And BaRRaCCuDDa, you saw him in the lane when we were talking about he wasn't really making an impact. He went aggressive very, very early on at level 2 in the lane. Took a lot of free poke from Metyankey, but his idea is to try and get aggressive in this lane, trying to get rid of that potion off of Metyankey, which he's still not consumed. Meanwhile, BaRRaCCuDDa, started with 3 health, 3 mana. He's down to just 1 health, trying to force it and trying to get something going in this lane.
This doesn't matter, though, because he has his passive, so it's okay if he takes a little bit of extra poke.
But it's gold investment, though, right?
It is, but it's not that big of a deal in the early game.
But he's got because for me, it's like he's got Devour's Gauntlets already online. You've got Boots 1. You spend 600 gold, sorry, 300 gold. Oh, Baskin will get Scary D with Andinster's first gank of the game.
This can't happen. I mean, look at the wards on the right-hand side. There's not a single one. It's 3 minutes and 40 seconds into the game, and Andinster's on Thor. You've already seen what Andinster is trying to do in game 1.
Scary knew that could have been coming. However, spaces in time in the mid lane was fired just then. Ultimate does come out with Jeff, but plucked away from the danger zone to allow Snoopy back to safety. Jigz instead will eat the brunt of the damage on his Sobek that he loves to play.
A little bit of miscommunication there. You saw Mast pull Jigz actually out of the belly flop from JeffHindla instead of combining that CC and maybe setting up for a kill. And so LG still struggling a little bit with their synergy. And then Scary D getting picked off for first blood again, and this is just going to open up this blue buff invade. And this is what
Scary knows, however, he's got a ward down in the Gold Fury, sorry, the blue buff pit, so he knows it's coming. If you can time the pin well, he can secure it, but no, Baskin will get it, forced to ult away before Mas can get in range. Mas actually did use the dash to try and get up. He's going to not get the ultimate off at the right time to force Baskin into an uncomfortable position.
And Andinster and the rest of SoaR kind of in this area. Xeno has no mana, but they're not going to go aggressive on him. The rest of Luminosity hanging around, and Luminosity are going to have to put a lot of pressure onto the right.
Good wall. And now Andinster goes aggressive on purpose and not to try and kill Scary, just to create room for Baskin to get back to safety.
If he doesn't teleport to that hammer, Baskin is still locked off from the wall, and they're waiting again. They're trying to bait him.
But Mast is here as well, and Jigz tails whips in as well as using the second strike. Mast doesn't want to continue aggressing though, so he'll fall back to safety as well. They're a little bit worried about maybe Baskin teleporting in, but Baskin's teleport is on cooldown.
Scary has ult here too, so he's not too worried, but he doesn't need to take this unnecessary poke. Luminosity just going to grab their own buffs left-hand side. No one's really rotating. Jeff just going to be splitting the wave. Surprisingly enough that he's splitting that wave on the left-hand side. I guess it's just because BaRRa is backing as well. Jeff is likely going to have to be at that speed buff on the right-hand side.
Actually, BaRRa and Jeff are in a pretty good position right now in terms of levels. They've got a bit of a lead over both the counterparts in their matchup so far this game, which is a good boon for the boys of Luminosity.
For now, but they're going to need to press this. Again, we haven't seen BaRRaCCuDDa make an impact into these early game. He hasn't rotated that much. He's really just been kept in check by Metyankey. Both have the semi-globals, though, the passive from Jing and obviously the ultimate from Ram, extending pretty far. And I think SoaR is just going to let this continue to happen. Kind of just let Mast roam around for now and just wait for Andinster to get those well-timed ganks off.
And I think I expected Mast to be the one to be focused in terms of trying to make him tilt. I thought that would be a very good game plan for SoaR here. Tilt Mast in the jungle. But Mast has done a very good job. I've got to say, credit in game 2. He had a fantastic game there. He's got off to a good start here. Jeff, however, may not get off to a great start this game as he just get pulled into danger. Intoxicate, use space and time as well as they're looking for the pick onto Jigz. Jigz is one hit, it, but in the sky is Andy. We'll find Jeff, not really Mass, who's going to avoid a lot of the damage from the Berserker Barrage, but meanwhile Baskin finds Xenotronic isolated and alone again.
And he's pushing Mast out of the fight as well. Snoopy on the side.
Good wall.
Great wall
Good
by
wall,
Andy.
and the double tap even hurt more. BaRRaCCuDDa was just making the rotation then, and you could already see that SoaR were aware of it, so they're going to just back away, and BaRRa's going to make sure Andy does not come through mid lane. Thank you very much.
A little bit awkward at the beginning there, but I want to talk about Snoopy's positioning because I was a little bit worried. He's someone very similar to Whirlwind who likes to go aggressive, likes to Thunder Crash, but there, even with blocking off JeffHindla after the pluck and putting the Raiju on him, he doesn't Thunder Crash for some burst. He kind of just holds it and then Thunder Crashes away after the Janus goes aggressive.
That was really awkward for Snoopy there. Look where he is at the moment on the mini-map. He's on the Raijin, and he wanted to go towards mid lane there, but he was isolated because of so many members of Luminosity in the right side jungle. He loses a wave in mid, ends up just hanging around for a few seconds to get the speed buff when the rest of the team group up. So he actually loses a whole wave of experience in the mid lane, where Xeno got most of it. At least BaRRa did anyway.
And you can see actually Luminosity out farming right now. Can we bring up the graphs? It should be about a 2,000 experience lead, I'm going to guess. So 1,200 coming up from LG. 1 level in the jungle and 1 level in the mid, and that bodes well for them. Xenotronics also, surprisingly enough, going for the Doomore, but a god that has a lot more mobility than the Raw did, so he is going to be a better matchup against the Robin when he kind of jumps on him, and he'll be going for the penetration boots as well. And that power spike is huge. You're going to start seeing these unstable vortexes chunk squishy targets like Snoopy for about half their life once pen boots come online.
And the big key is getting the Doom Mob stacks up before the pen boots even hit it. You can see how quickly it can farm these stacks up. But on the right-hand side, a gank again onto SoaRD this time round. The ultimate from Andinster did not put too much pressure onto SoaRD. He didn't use his ultimate there, and Baskin will try and keep him busy on the tower edge here, but SoaRD's trying to do what he can to keep those minions away from the tower so he can get the full gold off them.
SoaRD recognizing what was happening that time. He's safely in his tower, but still Baskin setting up, just doing so much poke damage, and SoaRD's going to be forced to ult.
Yeah, he got the ult
and
out
already
there,
back.
And straight back to it again is Andinster. This reminds me of the old Andinster that would always sit there with Omega back in the day for a little while as well. He's not scared to sit in the solo lane and put his solo laner in a dominant position, and it also limits the aggression and the frontline-ifness of the SoaRD.
Are baiting this right now. Scary under tower, Baskin's the focus, but here's Andy. Jeff zoned from the rest of his team, but he does manage to jump into the tower.
I like this though from Luminosity. Space and time does get fired off. Luminosity are making SoaR react, but then they're not staying around long enough to get caught by the counter initiation.
Look at that.
They're keeping them busy.
And right there too, BaRRa, he starts rotating over, but he recognizes the fight's not going to bust out, instead turn to Snoopy. Snoopy quickly got away, obviously doesn't want to fight that Jing in the moment, but Metyankey getting a little bit of free farm off this. But look at this, BaRRaCCuDDa already back in lane, abusing that passive. This is what we didn't see from BaRRaCCuDDa in the previous games. If it looks like a fight's going, now he's rotating over, and if nothing happens from it, now he's utilizing that passive to get back and keep his farm up.
Well, Xenotronics going to ward the Gold Fury for the time being. It may have looked towards Metyankey, but lane pressure in favor of BaRRaCCuDDa here, who gets some nice little damage off onto Metyankey. With a minion wave in, Met will be able to farm that up. He's got Devour's Gauntlets though, so he can sustain this up fine.
It was about a 2-level lead as well. Can we actually see how much experience BaRRaCCuDDa has right now? I want to see how close he is to level 13 if this is a big lead. So about a single-level lead right now from BaRRaCCuDDa, not as big as I thought it was.
No, not for the time being. However, the right-hand Harpies are being looked at by both teams right now. JeffHindla trying to control the area here for his boys to pick up the right-hand Harpies when they do spawn. Mast clearing out the way with Xeno. Going to set up in a decent situation. Andinster is going to have to give these up. He did just use the wall. That not being available is very impactful in the team fights, and you can't go in without it.
And you can see just the tension from both teams now. Both are very hesitant to go in. SoaR's been playing a slow, methodical game, really looking for Andinster to set up kills onto SoaRD.
Jigz is going to pluck Mass, and Mass is now dashed away, but Andy's in this guy. Space and time will not hit Jigz. And now Snoopy and Andinster are back in it as well. Purification used by Xenotronics, and Snoopy forced to Thunder Crash back to mid. A very comical error of events from both teams there, resulting in nothing.
But Baskin's rotated in. He's going to find a good amount of damage onto Mast. Susano's out of this fight right now, and it's just poke coming out from SoaR. They're just trying to get Andinster to hit those double taps as much as possible, put Mast and Xenotronics specifically in awkward spots so they can't engage, or SoaR opens up an opportunity for them to dive in.
And they're given time here for Luminosity to hit the mid game. This is what LG are really doing now, and at the same time, BaRRaCCuDDa with this level lead over Metyankey, he is looking for the rotations. He is looking to try and put the pressure on in this lane where he can against Metyankey, but Met's just doing what he needs to do. Stays alive, farms up, keeps as equal level with BaRRa as he he can.
He's played this set perfectly. Just don't let BaRRaCCuDDa do BaRRaCCuDDa things.
Yep.
Don't let him start rotating to fights and become this hyper carry.
It's punishing him when he's Jing way. If you're going to try and rotate with a passive, you abuse the lane. You make sure you put farm under the tower, or you even take the tower, or the Gold Fury start, which we saw in game 1.
I mean, there's multiple opportunities. No team really looking for the Gold Fury just yet. Instead, the focus has really been on farming. Both teams dead even. 300 separate them. LG has a slight lead, which is, I mean, I guess off of the mid-harpies, they've been doing a better job of controlling. We saw Snoopy and Met also missing a good amount of farm compared to BaRRaCCuDDa and Xenotronics.
Well, for now, it's just going to be a farm obsession. Level 11 reached by JeffHindla. He's 1 level away from his secondary relic now. And actually, the support for JeffHindla is doing a great job of matching pace with the rest of his team here, as most players are all level of 12 right now. And they're going to initiate the Gold Fury. Let's have a listen into LG's comms as they look to take this one.
Are we burning? Nice. I'm ulting us. Push mid. Good shit, boys. Nice. We can push this for sure. I'm still good. Yeah.
2 seconds, it's up down.
Yeah. Thor's back up, so okay. Yeah. Thor won't have TP. That's fine. No, you're right down.
That's your beat.
Back up. Get the fuck out.
Thank you. Send the call, guys. Come on.
He's down at 12:59. Alright. I'm back. Okay, bro. We're not with you. You'll see.
Mast is screaming bloody murder off of every ability hit, and then says, "Listen to the call."
I've got
to everyone
I was
else.
about to say, like, everybody was talking at the same time, and then they're all like, "Listen to the call, guy." Master's like, "Listen to the call." I'm like, "Which call? You were all calling things." However, fantastic position for Luminosity now. They're 2 games down. Their hopes of going to Worlds are still alive, especially in this game now, because that is 6,000 experience, 3,500 gold that they found in the last engagement, and they made it out of laning phase. That's the biggest point for me. They made it out of laning phase.
And let's see how this game actually goes when it's about team fighting between 2 top ends.
BaRRaCCuDDa, a little bit out of position there, and Metyankey's trying to punish him. He's got support of Jigz, who's going to force the purification, and with Snoopy coming over the wall with a Thunder Crash, Sanctuary's used too. Even Andy's coming down. It's a party in duo lane. BaRRaCCuDDa's back in the rank game.
And we have not seen BaRRaCCuDDa really be focused at all. Instead, this time, SoaR now putting pressure, and this is great.
There's a reason, though.
This is a great adjustment from SoaR. Now that the team fights are breaking up, they want to make sure that BaRRaCCuDDa slows down this pace. You can see he's level 15. He has that 2-level lead over Metyankey. They want to try and close that gap before BaRRaCCuDDa just becomes so much more effective. He's starting to work on the chins or executioner. They did not want that online. Now putting Met in a much better spot.
4-3, 15 minutes in as well. Now he's a great position with the Doom-Mob online for Janus as well, and the penetration boots now. The damage is starting to pick up pace a little bit more as time has gone on. But look at that player damage on the left-hand side. It's all masked and BaRRaCCuDDa from the boys of Luminosity.
Honestly, not a lot of player damage from anyone in total, though. I mean, 6,000, a lot of that's just been Baskin in a poke war with Scary D. Probably a good 3,000 plus of that has really just been put into the Erlang Shen, and it's just been BaRRaCCuDDa poking out Metyankey as well. A lot of this game has been poke wars more than anything. It hasn't really been these hard engages. Normally, when the fights break out, people are half life.
Well, Scary D wants to start taking some fights now, especially with that Witchblade online. However, Breastplate of Valor for Baskin, it'll just leave him in a pretty good position to weather the storm. He's got sustain in his kit, and overall, Scary D takes more poke than he gave out.
He's got the AoE autos and the Death Toll, so he'll get a little bit back from this, but there's no way he's going to back right in front of Baskin's face. Baskin will always win the back war.
Now, not only the Gold Fury going down there for Luminosity, but that Tier 1 tower puts more pressure onto SoaR Gaming. Take into account there is a Janus on the side of Luminosity here as well, and that Janus is going to allow them to flank round areas where SoaR Gaming are going to be a little bit further back in depth now without the safety of that Tier 1 tower.
LG pushing forward deep into SoaR's jungle. You can see BaRRaCCuDDa, despite dying, still pushed up, and this time his team's in a much better spot to respond.
Well, they want the red buff, but they also want to give BaRRaCCuDDa a chance to poke at the tower. Jigz will fall through the portal, but a good wall from Andinster will stop the unstable vortex. Jigz, though, still has to use Lurking in the Waters, and it's go time for SoaR, it seems.
He's lining up here, couple targets for him, and actually 2 grouped up. It's going to be Mast and Jeff stunned out.
The drums of war do nothing, though, only hitting JeffHindla. JeffHindla's quite happy to tank that up. Scary D coming through, space and time hits 2, but not a whole lot of damage. Baskin juggled in the air a couple of times, juggled a third third time, and Mas gets credit for the kill with the Typhoon. The tier 1 on the left-hand side is exposed, and Luminosity, the collapse onto it.
And you can see SoaR all grouped up in that tier 2, but it's actually so hard to fight into the composition Luminosity has drafted. They have 4 knockups that you have to think about, and you have to assume one of them is going to be up when a fight breaks out, when you want to go in, and so you always have to be aware of that. You need your purification ready at any moment, and the knockups, they don't DR each other. I mean, once you're knocked up, you've got to go through that full animation
all over again. The only lane that is ahead in terms of experience is the solo lane for Baskin, but he's playing at Ravana, and we all know Ravana as the game goes on, he's a lane bully, but in team fights, it's a different story. He's just there to keep somebody away from the fight.
No, don't get me wrong. Ravana is phenomenal from ahead. We saw what he's able to do against Xenotronics on the Raw, but he's not ahead in this spot. I mean, he's level 16. That's about equal to Xenotronics and below JeffHindla. Mast, I think, is pretty close to that level as well. You can see JeffHindla level 14. I mean, he's close to being the same level as Baskin. You do not want to be in that spot as a warrior. A lot of what you rely on is just having more experience, higher levels, higher base stats over your opponents.
And I will say as well, JeffHindla will be very happy, especially JeffHindla fans will be happy to see him on the Bacchus again. He's one of his major go-tos here. 1-0-4 this game so far. Heart Ward, Amulet, and Sovereignty online. We don't see a whole lot of those over and over again, but when we do see them, they do make an impact in the game. You know, those auras come into play.
And honestly, it's not even the physical and magical protections. Those are great, but the HP5 and MP5 is actually very helpful as well when you start to get into these kind of standoff matches you see now, where a lot of it comes down to Andinster looking for double taps. So now, if you have 25 HP5 from Sovereignty, you're going to heal that back up pretty quickly.
And the MP5 as well is the bigger one, because obviously Bacchus always wants to be chugging, and when he's chugging, he's using mana up. Jigz plucks Mask, but gets pulled back in himself and takes more poke than Snoopy was able to dish out to Mask.
Jigz has been in some awkward spots all 3 games. He's been the one that Luminosity has been able to really pick off at the start of fights every single time.
And I think the reason they've been able to do that, though, is because nobody's been following up on those plucks, whether Jigz is doing them and not communicating them well enough, or it's the boys of SoaR a little bit too scared to go in right now. It's causing them some problems.
Ooh, Mast. You saw him 3 levels ahead going for Andinster, and I mean, one of the reasons they won that Gold Fury fight a while ago was because Mast actually did solo at Andinster, very similar to the Hunbats, where his focus was on, I'm going to kill Snoopy, and then I'll take part in the fight afterwards. Now his focus seems to be, I'm going to kill
and Mast is keeping them all busy right now. He's just trying to keep them busy for the Gold Fury for BaRRaCCuDDa to take it. Xenotronics will get it, and he's in the sky now. Mast may be a casualty of war here, but I'm pretty sure Luminosity will be okay with that. The meditate from ScaryD, though, comes into play, and it keeps Mast alive. The fight rages on, and there goes Andinster, removed from the map. Big Intoxicate on 3 targets. Snoopy forced to Thunder Crash away. Mast is wrapping around the back of ScaryD from the other side. All the while, BaRRaCCuDDa has 2 frontline people stood in front of him, allowing him to charge down through the jungle.
Get picked off as well. It's over to Mast. Metyankey getting chased out by ScaryD in the meantime, looking for that roll. He's trying to get away. The pin, not even needed. ScaryD finds the 4th for Luminosity. It's 9-3.
And this is a Phoenix as well at less than 20 minutes in. They're going to push onto this. Jigz can't do anything alone right now. Respawn time is another 8 seconds on Andinster, and he's not even got his ultimate available. Is this going to be a fire giant? Is this a little bit too expensive?
There's a couple options. I mean, they could have gone for the Phoenix on the left. That should have been free. Andinster had just spawned. It was a while for the rest of the team. Could have taken the towers as well, but I think they feel confident with their lead now. They're going to get this fire giant, make sure SoaR's in a spot where they can't contest, obviously, since they did just wipe them. That means no one is even going to have a chance from SoaR at stealing this. Now with the bonus power and Raijin, this is their moment where they want to start going for the push. They could have taken a Phoenix on the left pretty easily, but instead they would feel more confident with the bonus power spike.
The adjustments for Luminosity this game have been substantial, though. Taking away that Janus from Snoopy has limited so much of the pressure SoaR were able to put on the map. I think so too. And on top of that, they've just showed how good Masked is as well. Masked was hit so many times in the picks and ban phase here that he had a choice. We said this. He had a choice of Susano, a Wheelix, or a Arachne pretty much. There wasn't many other junglers left. Kali?
He could have pulled out Kali.
Like, that's how deep he was going to have to go. He pulls out Susano after being banned away, goes 4-0-4 in this game, and absolutely sets everything up for SoaR, for Luminosity.
Well, to be fair, I mean, this was the god that Mast was very dominant on in the earlier parts of the year. It slowly started to get permabanned. Obviously, it took some serious nerfs, and so everyone said, Susano's bad now, not going to be played.
But then he got buffed again.
But when forced into it, Mast is still very comfortable on the god, and I think that was the decision more than anything.
And the funny thing is, I was talking to Mast before this set even began yesterday when we were watching the other North American set between Eager and Who are they playing? Oh, I've forgotten.
Excuse me?
Who was Eager playing yesterday?
Flashpoint.
Thank you, Flashpoint. I was going to call him Denial, that's why I couldn't think of the name.
Oh,
but
no.
on top of that, what it was he was saying Susano is actually okay right now, but he's not great. The one is a little bit different. You don't get as much damage off because you want to use that last one for a dash. But he does like the fact the ultimate does take wind up now to be able to get the knock up on. It's not a big issue, he says, and he's made it work this game.
Well, tier 2 on right, this is just going to be the Fire Giant push. Luminosity extending their lead to about 14,000. We saw LG in the reverse position last game, and they were able to hold out. Now SoaR going to be trying to do the same. You could see Andinster on the left-hand side there.
Is keeping him away from the zone as much as possible. He knows what the jungler's job is here. Space attack Snoopy! And Snoopy is already forced back to safety for now. Trying to still help out his team, though, as Scaredy gets plucked into a dangerous position. He is tanky enough as Baskin is trying to weather the storm on the front line, but eating a couple of hits from BaRRaCCuDDa, gonna put the pressure on.
And he's in the sky, and he finds two. Scary-D taking shots from Snoopy over the wall, but still manages to survive.
And now Jigz will die for all that happening. He is just trying to buy time, but the in-hand is good enough for Xenotronics to get himself a double kill on the Janus, the second Phoenix of the game, and potentially this could be a little bit risky going in for the Phoenix here right now. They do have fire minions coming from the middle, but there's a minion wave spawned. They're looking to try and backdoor the Titan here and find the game, and they will do that in 22 minutes. Luminosity turn this set around.
LG not going down without a fight. BaRRa, Jeff, they want to return to Worlds. They want to join Captain Twig as the players, the only players to come to all 3 World Championships. Obviously, Andinster trying to do the same.
All the teams that I've seen play through this year, if I was going to hope for a team to come back from a deficit that was as destructive as Game 1 and Game 2,
LG.
It would be BaRRa and Jeff. Like, it wouldn't surprise me to see that.
They're meant.
Because they do that every single time. Like, I don't understand it. They just get away with it.
It's destiny. I mean, these guys have just been together forever. I mean, you heard him talk about it earlier where he switched up Dare to Care, brought JeffHindla on after the launch tournament where his team started to become more about environment, how I wanted to play with people that I was going to have fun with. And now there was a little bit of a shakeup at the beginning of the year where Andinster said, listen, I'm here to win, and BaRRa had to make the hard decision to go with that as well. Joined up with Andinster, made a new Luminosity, but then Jeff gets brought back on. They missed DreamHack. I'm assuming the environment wasn't the best, but they've picked up Mass, they've picked up Xeno here, and they're facing off against Andinster and Baskin really well.
Andinster, he wanted to go play with his friends and have fun. I don't think he had fun that game. Rain Day, what do the analysts have to say?
Well, we're having fun over here, Hindu, and we're only hearing chants. Every time they got a kill, the crowd was going, oh, hey! It was fun. It was energetic, guys. That's what we like to see out of Luminosity. They found a win, but more than that, it seems like they found themselves here. They found their energy.
And this is the perfect timing in this best-of-5 set because we saw Cloud9 last year when Jeff and BaRRaCCuDDa were there. They were actually down 2 games earlier on when they were able to bounce back. They were actually up 2 games against Eager, and then they lost 2 in a row. So they know how to come back from certain deficits, even if the momentum is not on their side.
Yeah, I think it was really crucial for them to go ahead and find this win in this 3rd game because of the fact that it is such a rejuvenating factor for them. It is really rough when your back is up against the wall, but when it came down to it, they were able to pull it out.
One of the beautiful aspects of this game, and I'm sure you were going to touch on it, the fact that the picking went their way. They took away the Janus from Snoopy, and they put it onto Xenotronics, and man, he performed well.
Not having the mobility on SoaR's side means that Andinster wasn't able to be as aggressive as he really wanted to, and Xenotronics was all over the place, just following up so brilliantly off of Mast's aggression on the Susano. We haven't seen this god in quite a long time, especially after the nerfs.
Yeah, it's definitely not a common jungle pick anymore after the nerfs came through for him, but at the same time, I think it fits Mass playstyle really well because a lot of what Luminosity likes to do is they like to bounce off of Mass performances especially, and so if Mask is there pulling in the initiations and able to set things up for his team, they're able to follow up, especially with JeffHindla on that Bacchus. These flops following up on the pull-in from Susano, it's such a pivotal impact on the game because of the fact that you just can't get away from that.
And more comfort picks on BaRRaCCuDDa's side of things, getting this Jing way as well. Once the late game started rolling around, he did get caught out once, unfortunately, in the mid to late game, but then after that point in time, he was sticking with his team, and he was able to close the game out.
I think this is a set that is going to be, it's one where Luminosity has to battle back. They've got to go through some tough moments now, especially with SoaR. They're going to bunker down. They know they can't let another game slip. Otherwise, they could lose something big time that they had in their grasp. I think we touched on momentum. I still think that might be the biggest factor going into this next banning phase. And to capitalize on that, both of you, what do they need to do in terms of the picking phase to make sure they keep this momentum and keep it rolling?
They need the mobility, honestly. The Janus was a great idea to take that away from SoaR and to have it for Luminosity's sake, as well as not having a losing matchup in the solo lane was so important, allowing ScaryD the comfortability on the Erlang Shen, transitioning safely away from that early game.
Yeah, I absolutely love ScaryD on that Erlang, and it really showed that mentally he actually is still with us, in fact. You know, we thought that he might have been having a lot of difficulties, especially against Baskin, having such dominating performances over him in games 1 and 2, but he's still there. He's still ready to perform.
Absolutely, and everybody in the side of Luminosity is ready to perform, and you can too as well if you head over to faceit.com and start playing with some other people that are interested in getting some prizes as well. You guys can get your exclusive chest rolls, your skins, and your gems.
That's right. If you spend some time on Faceit, make sure you come back at least and finish watching this set. It's an exciting one. We'll be here with you. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the next game in just a minute.